Hey, what's up? I'm Joel Madden, and this is Artist Friendly. On this episode, I'm talking to one of my favorite singers. He's an innovator of heavy music, and he's the lead singer of the band Architects, Sam Carter. Let's go.
Smoking on piff, that's my kind. I don't want no bad times. I don't want to have bad.
Well, I was thinking about talking to you because you're like on my top 10 list of people that I've wanted on this show.
Appreciate that.
I appreciate you coming.
Do I have to start acting like I'm a nice person now? Or
No, you are
just
a nice person though.
No, I appreciate you. Yeah,
you have your moments, but what I actually want is for people listening to get a shot of and an experience of the guy that I get to hang out with.
Yeah,
because I find you to be one of the most, and not just your music, because that also it lives in your music as well. You know, when I listen to your music, I listen to it when I need to feel encouraged. I listen to it when I need to feel motivated, and I listen to it when I need to feel good about myself. So whatever it is that you do in music, I feel like you're preaching something to people who need to believe in themselves.
yeah,
And maybe that's something that you're doing with yourself or for yourself, but really you're doing it for everyone that's listening. But the guy that I hang out with is encouraging, will tell you exactly what he thinks, so you get right to the bottom of something.
Yeah.
And I know exactly how you feel about it.
Yeah.
With zero, it's not uncomfortable. Like
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
tell me you don't like something and it's not uncomfortable.
yeah.
And I think I could say the same. There's very unique people like that you listen to, or you'll ask them something and you'll hear them and you actually consider what they said because they're just being honest.
Yeah. I think for me, I've always trusted my gut. I think since I was a little kid, since I was probably like 12, 13 when I started playing music, for me, the only outcome for my life was for me to be a musician.
Yeah.
I wasn't great at basically anything else. So it was this or nothing.
Right.
For me, it was like, my gut is, this is what you have to do. You're going to get there and it's going to be hard work, but that's the only outcome. The only outcome has to be that for success or it's failure. I remember literally like playing drums and being like, the only thing I want to do is be on the Warped Tour, which is crazy. But that was like a thing that I thought when I was a kid. I was like,
that was the pinnacle.
The idea of this like foreign touring festival where all my favorite bands when I was at school were on was like, there's no way my little local band will ever be on that. And then, you know, fast forward however many years later, I'm doing it with Architects and I'm like, this is exhausting. Why did I want to do this?
Yeah.
You know, but it was an amazing tour. But I think for me, yeah, from that age, I've just had this, I trust my gut. I know sometimes it doesn't work out, but I think it's just how I do things. It's like, if I really love something, I really love it. I love it and I want to do it and I'm ready to go. I'm going to go to war for it. And I'm the same with my friends. I'm like, if my friends are there or they need advice, I'm there. I'm in your corner. I'm going to prep you up. I'm going to support you, because I know that you'll give it back and, you know, we can go off each other. But there's sometimes I just, I know when something doesn't feel right, but it doesn't, sometimes I'm like, it doesn't feel right because I know that I'm not going to give it 100%. So why would I even give it a shot? Or why would I even try? Because I know I'm going to just not be interested. So there needs to be a flame there. And I think,
you know the difference between yes and no.
Yeah.
Which is hard for some people.
Yeah,
they
for
don't
sure.
know what no feels like at all. That would be something that I actually, it just came to me, what you're really good at in a very natural way is knowing what yes feels like and knowing what no feels like.
Yeah.
And I think if more people knew what their own yes and no felt like, they could move through life less confused.
I think for me, I know how much effort goes into yes.
Yeah.
So I have to really want to do it because I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I'm going to bring everyone with me. I'm going to be on board. I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to be the cheerleader. I'm going to try and help everybody. And if I don't, and I drag my feet, I know that I make that situation uncomfortable for everybody because I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. And I have done that in situations and it doesn't help. You know, that's not a positive for me to be a baby about it. But, you know, I know that when I want to do something and I believe in it, I can really pull it across the line.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
It took me years though to get the maybe it's like self-confidence or self-belief or self-esteem or something, but it took me years to speak up and go like,
Well, you're kind of the same as me. And when we have conversations where like, I'll tell you how amazing I think a song is, or I think this record is, or like talking back about, you know, old songs that you've done and how important it was. And you're like, yeah, cool. But you turn it around on me. Like, you can't take the compliments.
Yeah.
I really struggle with it because I'm like, I don't believe that about myself. So I'm like, I just want to talk about, you know, I don't talk to myself the way that I would talk to you about what you've done, you know? And I think you're the same.
So that is actually, I was wondering, and I wonder sometimes so again, me and Benj were talking about you last night, and we find you to be like a guy who's always optimistic, always encouraging.
Sometimes, yeah, for other people, yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
So think about it. You've been on a ride with us now for some years.
Yeah.
With like not only our band, your band, our company, which Architects is what I would say. We always look at Architects as at MDDN. There's a spirit you guys have in the band. We've always said it. Like, what would Architects do? We say that all the time.
Yeah.
When we were setting up the GC record, we're talking about this new GC record, and we're like, what would Architects do? Well, they would just do this. They would do what they feel.
Yeah.
They wouldn't ask. They wouldn't have a committee. They wouldn't second guess themselves. They would try to get to the best answer with their team, whoever's relevant to that conversation. They'd make a decision and then they would go.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, when you bring too many chefs in the kitchen and everyone's second guessing.
Everyone's got their ideas. I think the good thing with Architects is like we all kind of know our positions within the band, and we all trust each other to do what we do. I think that's really important, because if you have too many ideas and too many people throwing things forward, it's never going to work. But we all have like the kind of greater good idea of what Architects should be and where we want it to go, and we all just push that together. But we let other people be the voices for it, or be the figureheads, because especially me and Dan are very vocal about the band and what we think, and we both feel really passionately and intensely about the band and about a lot of things in our lives, right? So I think Ali and Adam are just like, we're gonna let them do their thing where they need to be crazy and blow off some steam, but we know that they're gonna get us to where we need to be. And you know, we're lucky that we have each other. I think we've always been that band that has just kind of moved around like a group of sheep. You know, when we first started touring, bands would be like, it's funny because I see you walking around the venue and it's just like the four of you, the five of you. And it's always been that way. When Tom was here and when Josh was here, and throughout all ilks of the band, it's been a tight unit. It's funny. We're all so similar. And I think actually now with the four of us, Adam's been with us since just before Lost Forever. He did a tour of us around the world. We did 100 shows called 100 Days, and it was just before we signed to Epitaph. And we've just experienced so much together, but we just know how much this means to us. And it's not really like about money or success or whatever. It's just like, it's how we go to sleep. I always say it to Dan, I'm like, we got to get this right, because that's how I go to sleep at night. Yeah. You know, even like with coming out here and things that we've been doing, I'm like, we got to get it over the line. I'll do it. I'll go, because it's how I sleep. It's how I feel like I've done everything I can to make this be as good as I think it could be.
That's the thing that I think that you guys have when I watch, which I learn from, is a natural ability to make a decision based on how you feel, on your instinct, and not second guess yourself. Yeah. And what's important to you is important to you. That's actually the key to it. Yeah. Because when I see your band, when you could say like, okay, you're coming up your 11th album. Yeah. 15 years.
Yeah. Well, I've been in the band for 15 years now. I think maybe a little bit more. Right. I think Architects is around nearly 20-ish. Right. So because it was like Tom and Dan's school band. Right. Like it's the first, you know, when you like first start and you start doing like covers or whatever, like this is the same kind of band from that moment, you know. Yeah. So 2 decades. It's been a minute. Yeah. And Architects today bigger than it's ever been in the world. Yeah. But it doesn't feel like that's a metric you guys actually hold as like, it feels like you guys make decisions for each record and your vision is what it is, and you guys organize around that, and then you go into the world and you're Architects and you do what you do. But then the other on the outside of it, you watch and you're like, okay, 2 decades in, this band is bigger than it's ever been, a new band to some people. Yeah, yeah. And making important music. If you look at this, at the state of heavy music,
I would say, and I always say this, you don't have to say it about yourself because I know you won't. I would say you guys are one of the most important bands in heavy music. You've pushed the envelope of what can be, what can exist in the sense of how many people can listen to it.
Yeah.
Right? Because 10, 15, 20 years ago, music with people screaming was not accepted by a larger audience.
No.
Certainly metal music was big in certain ways, but it was, but you guys have pushed the envelope of the intensity of what can be considered a big band, right? Versus a garage band or a fucking dance hall band, or whatever little hardcore show bands. What, you know, in the spectrum of heavy music, there's all these different things, and of course, heavy music fans love to argue about it, and I love it. It's good for heavy music, but I'm talking, if I zoom out as a student of rock and roll and its existence in the world and where's it going, and to me, one of the most important genres of music that has to exist.
Yeah.
If bands like Architects don't exist, then kids are not picking up guitars and going in their garages and getting together and making original music together and finding out what they can be.
Yeah, I think for us, I think the mission statement is kind of always been like, I want to look like just regular guys. I don't want to come across like a rock star. I don't want to be a rock star. I just want to be a nice guy and just show that like it's you don't have to do all these things that you think you have to be, or like be a bad guy or whatever.
Right.
Like I just want to be like, I just love playing music. I loved it when I was 13, and it was my way of like creating some kind of success for myself. And I think we're all the same. We go into every album just trying to write a good album, trying to write the best album. I think this one in particular, we had a big conversation of like, it's our 11th album, you know, it needs to be,
Special
it needs
number.
to hit
Yeah.
hard, because a number 11, for someone to want to check it out, they already have an idea of what your band is, and they either want to check it out or they don't. You need to give them a reason for them to be like, wow, I want to check this out. And not everybody, in fact, I can't think of anybody that has their most successful album on their 11th. And it looks like we're about to have that, which is crazy.
So I think you are going to have that, and I've been seeing it coming. Right? It's not just stadiums with Metallica, or it's like all those things that lead up.
Yeah.
And all those are a product of the records that came before.
Yeah.
So it's the effort. It's like the idea that if we put forth effort and do our best try and are honest about that. So that's the other thing I love about you guys. You're cool because you're actually trying to make the best record you can.
Yeah.
You're not saying whatever, we don't care. Like the rock star thing is kind of like, I'll do this in my sleep. Right.
Yeah.
And actually the honest thing is like, no, I'm actually trying my hardest here because I want to outdo my last one.
Yeah.
And actually the people that listen to my music, I care about them.
Yeah. I think with us as well, we can like, I think it's kind of a British mentality of being able to point the finger at yourself as well and just go like, yeah, we tried on the last one. Maybe it didn't connect as well as we wanted to. We tried. There was no bad intention. We didn't do anything different to how we normally do, but we can always go when we know we've not done what we wanted, we can go, yeah, okay, we'll just learn from it.
Yeah,
we're not hard on ourselves.
You
we're
guys
hard
are
on
very
ourselves.
British like that.
Yeah, we're down. We're like, oh, give us a reason to like actually be happy. You know, but I like it. I think it's a driving factor in why we're still here and why we do what we do. I think it's just trying to navigate that, because I think it can be helpful and it can be a hindrance.
Right.
You know, we've had a lot of conversations recently about like confidence and like confidence on stage and like doing this and like actually being able to be like, yeah, this is what makes me want to be a better band. This is what makes me want to do this. But I actually need to kind of celebrate the fact that I have done this as well. And I can get on stage and I can do this and I am a good singer, rather than just being like, you need to be better. You need to try harder. You need to do this. You know, there's a fine line between help and hindrance, I think, with it.
Yeah. With all of us.
Yeah.
Everybody. And I think everybody I always try to pull those little ideas out when we have these conversations, because anyone listening that it's like, get out of your own way sometimes.
Yes.
And you know what? Also, like, give yourself a pat on the back when you went out on the fucking stage. I didn't even know how I got myself out on stage to start when I first started, because I was shy and I had a low self-esteem.
Yeah, yeah.
And
half the battle is literally taking the steps onto the stage.
Yeah, and I didn't think I was good enough.
Yeah.
And then you get out there, and of course, this comes with all art. There's going to be a bunch of people that like you, and that's great. And you're like, oh my God, I did something, and they like it. And then there's going to be people making fun of you.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just how it is.
Yeah,
it's
it
like
is,
talking shit.
It is, yeah.
And But in the early days, it was hard for me because I was susceptible to that because I had that low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And then what I had to learn how to do was find what I actually liked about myself.
Yeah.
Which is very hard.
And you have to find that sort of youth-like, childlike energy of like, what would Sam when he was 13 do when he was walking on this stage? Would he be up the night before worrying about what his performance was going to be like? Would he be like, oh, I'm so worried I'm not going to be good enough tomorrow? He would be like, I can't go to sleep because I'm so excited to go.
Can't wait.
So I think like coming into this sort of year and this sort of album tour, I'm just trying to bring that kid out with me more to be like, you did it.
Yeah.
You're here. You've done the hard work. This is the bit you get to enjoy. Don't get in the way of yourself at this point. You've written the record. Go have fun. No one wants to see someone on stage freaking out, critiquing themselves. They want to see you go and have fun because you're there Friday night.
Yep.
You're there Saturday night. You're their party. You're their like escapism. Like even if you're not perfect because you're human, they still want to see you smiling and having fun and trying to show that you love this thing, which I do more than anything. And I think my sort of mission statement for this year is just smile more, have more fun, because you get in the way of yourself.
Yes.
And say that you love stuff. Like my go-to thing my whole life with the band and with myself, you know, I'm so worried. I've spent so much time worrying about coming across as arrogant or big-headed that when people ask me about the band, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Right, next, tell me about your job. Like, how was your day at work? How was this? I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to be like showing off. And like, actually the work that I've done this year, I want to be like, yeah, I am excited for this tour.
I love my band.
Yeah, I love my band. I can't wait to go on this tour. I can't wait for this release because I've given it everything. And I think, you know, the amount of times I've told myself just ask someone else, like, don't talk about yourself. Your brain starts to react to that where you start pulling the excitement out of your life. So yeah, this year I'm trying to bring that kid with me and just be like, I'm ready to go, which is fun.
It's a fun way to live. I think you get more out of life that way.
Yeah.
We see you as like the guy who you encourage people. Like when I'm selling you, like, we're working on this thing. And you're like, oh, fucking great.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it makes me feel like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We should make an album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You should, yeah.
And you should play a show.
Yeah.
I'm like, how we're going to do it? And you're like, yo, you should fucking do that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's the energy you give in your music too.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, every now and then I'll text you and I'll be like, yo, just fucking ripped a workout. Like Architects is my go-to when I need to get back in my fucking, on my A game of like being the person I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be a positive person. I want to be someone who believes in things and that when people are around, they get energized, not fucking depleted.
I think that's the thing with us is that there's always like when our records really connect and really hit with people, there's energy throughout it and people can use it as their escapism or their like force for good. I think that comes from just trying to make the music really honest and like believable and a bit of pain in there. I think we're not always suffering, you know, I'm not always sat around sad, you know. Dan writes the lyrics, but everything that he's talking about is so relatable to me. Otherwise it couldn't be what it is. You know, we have conversations. I'm always trying to push him to be darker. He's trying to go lighter and it kind of works. He'll always be like, oh, I don't know about this. And I'm like, oh, I do. Make it really fucking dark, you know? And he's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want kids to worry. I'm like, oh, I don't care. Bring it on. You know, I have that darkness in me. So I think that's why we work so well together. But yeah, I
how
think
do you get
the
there,
energy needs to be there.
When you're making the record, like this record, how do you get there when you guys are going over the lyrics of a song and I'm guessing the melodies, how are those born?
Well, on this record in particular, me, Dan, and Jordan work together basically like a tag team of like
going around.
We're starting. Yeah, we start with the basic ideas of a track, get an SM7 out, start humming ideas back and forth, building a skeleton from there.
Grabbing things that are cool. Oh, that's cool.
That key, like, let's try this key. This is where this works, or like this little bit's great. You know, like with Jordan, you know, he hears something really quick and he's like, no, what you just did there's magic. Let's build from there.
Jordan. And
then Dan is just like, I think, especially coming into this album, he's got an amazing ear for music and he's an amazing lyricist. And I think actually having Jordan there as well, we were both able to say, this is amazing.
Right.
This line, don't change it. Because it's two of us. he's had years of me going, this is amazing.
Right.
But now somebody else coming in and producing and having that other ear, you've got two people being like, don't overthink it. No, this is fine. This is great. But we all worked together. It was an amazing experience. And it was one that, like, I think it's the most involved I've been in probably like 2 or 3 records.
That's cool.
Where like I feel like I really had a purpose and something to bring to the table. And Jordan and Dan were both so inviting of that. You know, they're two musicians that I think are like 2 of the most talented people I know.
I mean,
for me, I can't pick up a guitar and write a song.
Right. I
played
can't
drums
either, by the way.
I played drums when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, I can bring you an idea for a groove, or I can bring you an idea of what I think a song should be.
I can sing a melody.
Yeah. But
I can
need
hum a melody.
I need an idea to be born for me to then go, I think it should go here. It should go here. I think we should do this. I think you should use this chord and this. To be able to bring what I can bring to the table with those two was just so great.
I mean, it's awesome to think about like the 3 of you, because it's 3 of my favorite like rock people.
Yeah.
You guys are just all talented in different ways.
We're all a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's great. It's just unique. But like Jordan is one of my favorite people.
He's amazing.
He's an amazing guy. And I think
he's so talented.
And he's sweet.
Yeah.
We worked together a little bit, and I could see him like, he's thoughtful, man. He's thoughtful. He wants to speak up sometimes, and he's like, he can be a bit sensitive about where he gets in, like when he's in a new group of people, but it's all coming from a thoughtful person who really cares about making music.
I think me and him are very similar in terms of like, when we love something, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
And we're like pulling each other, and we're going. And then there'll be points where like I'm deflated or he's deflated or sad. And then but when we're down, we're like, yeah, okay, I'm done. And it was cool to try and pull each other through that. I think especially like vocally, it's my favorite record of vocals that I've ever recorded.
It's amazing.
And he pushed me, you know, to get that. And Dan pushed me. They both were there. Yeah, I got pushed to places that like I've not been before, right? It was like a journey of like, how much do I want to be the best vocalist?
Yeah.
Like, am I just going to rest on my laurels of what I've done, or am I going to like go there? And they both knew that it was in there within me, right?
Yeah.
So they pulled it and pushed and pushed. And some points I'd be like, I'm storming out of this room.
Yeah.
Because I'm screaming my head off. I've got adrenaline flying through my system, and like, I can't regulate this emotion, right?
That's how it feels.
And then other times, there's times where they're doing they get a vocal performance out of me, and I'm sat there like, I can't believe I've just done that. I can't believe like that's me. Like I've really given that everything.
This record vocally is the most satisfying record as a fan. You do everything that I love. All the things you do with your vocals across all the records you put on this record. And it like is so satisfying.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The big choruses, the heavy stuff, the screaming.
Yeah.
Every part of it is just like, it's like you perfected the things that you do that I love on all your records.
Thank you.
And there's aspects of each song across different records that like my favorite parts really is like, you know, all your moves.
I felt like, I appreciate it coming from you is such a compliment, really.
Much stuff I can't do.
I don't know how a lot of it happens, but I think I needed to believe that I was actually good. I think for so long I've sort of just sat there and been like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm an all right vocalist. I do the job, you know. Postman goes and delivers post. I don't need a pat on the back for it, you know. That's what I need to do. But actually, I think this time it was like, no, I'm done. Like I'm done. I don't want to just be like, okay. I'm like, I can do everything to a good standard, and I know I can. And I've worked with my vocal coach. I've worked with Jordan. I've worked with Dan. It's like, just go and put in all those years of hard work and actually show that you really believe in yourself. And yeah, they both got that out of me. And yeah.
So it was a little bit you and a little bit working with them.
Yeah, I think it was just the right time. I think it was, we all had something to prove. I think Jordan had just come out of the situation of not being with Bring Me. We're on our 11th album. We want to prove it. I'm coming in wanting to show that it's our strongest album. And then together it was just like, okay, let's go. We're all pushing it up the hill. We're all getting it there.
I thought it was a really, really cool decision that you guys decided to collaborate with Jordan and make this record. I was also, it felt like more than friendship. I mean, obviously you guys are friends, and if you know Jordan, you love him. He's just so talented and such a good guy.
Yeah.
I believe in him as a producer. I think he is a fucking badass.
Well, I think we had history with him, which is really special. When we did Doomsday, which was our first song after losing Tom and coming through everything, we did that song with him. Or we didn't do it with him. We wrote the song ourselves, and I remember we got the first mix back, and I remember Dan calling me, and he was like, I need you to be really honest with me right now. What do you think of this song, where it's at? And I just remember being like, it's not good enough. And Dan said, that's exactly how I feel. I'm going to call someone. I'm going to call Jordan. I think we could try and go with him, do some producing, and we'll get it there. He called Jordan, called me back. And then the next day, Jordan was like, come up to my house. Like, I'm at home, just come up to my house. We'll do the song together. So we went up to his house. We were there for a day, for a night, and then a full day, and then went home. We worked with him on Doomsday, and you could tell that he just cared about kind of like our journey and our story and where we were and like how important that song was. And it's one of our best songs and a very important emotional moment. And then from there, we were both obviously so busy. I would have loved to have done stuff with him, but Bring Me's as busy as we are. They're always writing. We're always writing. And yeah, the moment kind of came up. It was odd. Me and Dan had a really big conversation sort of the night before this other conversation I'm going to talk about what we needed to do. And like I'm saying, it's our 11th album. What do we think it needs to be? How do we do it? Like, how much does it mean to us to get it there? And then we played a show with Bring Me the day after we had this conversation. And we were having a conversation with him in this hallway outside their dressing room. And we were talking to him. He was like, classic, like, what are you doing next? What have you got coming up? And we were talking about the record. And he was like, oh, so what are you going to do? And we were like talking about it. And we were like, what would you do? What would you do? We're inspired by you and the band. Like, where would you take this? What would you do? And he was like, do you want to be really honest? We were like, yeah, we want this. We want this chat. Had a really important conversation for about half an hour about everything. And Dan went off to the toilet. And before he came back, Jordan was like, I'd love to do something with you, but I don't know if Dan would be interested. And I was like, yeah, he would.
Yeah.
And I think he was just like thinking from like a producer point of view, because Dan had produced the records. I was like, yeah, he definitely would. I remember Dan coming back over and being like, oi, Dan, Jordan thinks that you don't want to work with him. And he's like, what? He's like, I don't think you want to work with me. And they were just stood there like pointing fingers at each other. And he was like, we left then. He was like, oh, I'd love to write with you and I'd love to work with you. And we walked off, and I remember us just being like, well, it's a nice idea, but it's never going to happen. Yeah. It's never going to happen. But it's cool that we had that conversation, and I feel like it lit a fuse. And then everything happened with him and Bring Me. And I remember we'd been working on Seeing Red, which was the first song coming back on this record. And we'd got the song to a really good point. And then we were like, well, there's no harm in just shooting the song over to him. And we sent it over, and he came back with like, he just did a quick FaceTime with us and was like, I do this. We went and did it, sent it back to him, and he was like, yeah, and do this. And then we were like, oh my God,
dope.
This is great. Then we didn't hear from him for a while, and then everything happened, and then he called Dan and said like, I'm
free.
I want to do a record.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a record? And Dan called me, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm in. Let's go. I'm down. And then within a month, we had a studio time booked out for a week, and within the 5 days, we did 3 songs. And the first song that we got done was Curse. Straight away. And that was done in 24 hours.
Yeah, one of my favorites. I was singing it coming in.
Yeah. And me and Dan had that riff. We tried it a million different ways, different keys, different choruses, different ideas. Just played that riff to him, and he was like, "This is an Architects riff. Let's go!" Like, and we just built the song around there, and it was super exciting. And Evil Eyes, I think, came out from that session as well, which is on the record, and another one that didn't end up making it, but it was yeah, we were just, after that, it was like, yeah, let's do an album, because we've clearly got chemistry.
Yeah, but it's interesting because this show is kind of modeled after that, right? Yeah. It's hallways, dressing rooms, dinners, parties, where we interact with one another out there in the world, different artists.
It's in a calm place, isn't it?
It's calm,
like you're safe.
And we don't have to be anything. We can just
your guard's
be
down a bit more,
real people.
Yeah.
And then those conversations are the best ones. And I think a lot of times, like, fans and people that listen to music, which is everyone, they don't actually get to see the side of the artists they like as real people.
Oh yeah, like mates.
If you ran into them at a coffee shop, or if you had dinner with them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I like about doing this show, because everyone that I've had on this show, I actually want to experience them the way I would if we were having dinner.
Yeah.
Or we're at a friend's party.
Yeah.
Or, you randomly meet someone. And I met that guy. He was fucking cool.
Yeah. He was
cool
sound,
as shit. He was down.
Yeah.
If you're at an award show or you're at a fucking thing, you don't get anyone in the real, like there
Some people still got their like characters on and they're
there's
trying
characters
to,
and you're there and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
am I dressed in the right clothes? It's like, you're never going to have the real experience to meet each other and interact. But with bands, we get to tour with one another. So we do get to interact that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of these conversations happen, but it's interesting because I go back to instinct. You guys, conversation in a hallway, talk to Jordan. Then you go and you make a record. You make this record, which I think is the best record of your career.
Yeah, thank you.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it to come out.
I think it's our best as well.
It's just so good. It's just a great listen.
Thank you.
You made it with Jordan, who just changed his career, right? He's had a career change in the sense of he's in a band. He decides to go full-time, all in. I want to produce records. I have a dream. I want to produce and write and make classic records.
Yeah.
And we talked about this. I talked to Jordan about this, and he's got dreams. And I encourage dreams, right? I just think if we stop dreaming, we die.
Sometimes things just happen that don't make sense and things just fall into place and it works out. And I think the best moments of my life have been that, where it's just like, this isn't supposed to make sense, but it's just happened.
There's something about that. There's something about architects having an idea that's just coming from feeling, from instinct, from whatever, the way you do everything else. You just go, yeah, that's cool. Let's do that. And then you just do it. And then you make this great album, but you also inadvertently like are the first record in what I think is going to be an amazing career of a producer that's going to make amazing records.
I agree.
And it makes a lot of sense to me that Architects would be the first band that goes, yeah, we'll make a record with you. Like, it just makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
And you may not stand back and analyze all of it, but that's what I do.
Yeah.
I analyze everything and go like, what did he do there?
Those clever little bastards.
Those fucking guys. But it's because you guys are just animals.
Yeah.
You just do what you feel and you go forward. You're not thinking about size particularly. You're not thinking about, you've done the arenas, you've done the stadiums, you've done the entire spectrum of shows of what you could do as a band.
Yeah.
From the smallest show to the biggest show. You've had a #1 record in multiple territories. You've had, for a heavy band that screams,
we've done stuff that shouldn't be possible for a band that's like us.
Think about it. It should not be possible.
Yeah.
It wasn't before.
Yeah.
Someone screaming and doing the things and then singing. And so all I'm saying is to blaze a trail for ourselves, right? And then inadvertently we help others because we push what's possible for what wasn't necessarily accepted before. And we could go in art, in music, in culture, in any which way, fashion, any way we want to say, where was something not quite accepted by everyone? And then who pushed it to the edge every time and more people accepted it. And now are more bands that are heavy, that can do all the things, however they want to express themselves, be big and make an actual living.
It's also funny as well because like, I think obviously not just for me, for a lot of people, like actually Good Charlotte was like a gateway into heavy music. Like you and your brother were wearing like Cradle of Filth shirts.
We were.
You were wearing like aggressive band shirts.
We wanted to
and you know what it was like when you're a kid and you're getting a record and you look in a record, you look at the thanks list and you look at the shirts that the people are wearing.
They're wearing.
So like I would listen to bands that you guys would wear because I'd be like, who's Suicidal Tendencies? Who's Cradle of Filth? Who's Danzig? I didn't know. I was just a kid, right? I'm like, I'm hearing this. Who's the Misfits?
Yeah.
Who's this? You know, and you're like, you were a darker band.
Dark in our
aesthetic and kind of like the way it looked. It was like, oh no, this is cool.
I always said, it's like the Morrissey lyric, I wear black on the inside.
Yeah.
Because black's how I feel on the outside. You know, I always felt down.
Yeah.
I always felt a bit angry, but not at anyone.
Yeah.
It was very hard for me in the upswing and the peak of that, all that kind of Good Charlotte stuff in the first iteration, whatever I want to say that, whatever you call that part of our career, to express how I was feeling all the way. Yeah. We tried in the music, definitely how we dressed. We were always trying to like push the limit of like what bands we'd take on tour or like what we wore, because I don't know that we wanted to be a part of the mainstream in the sense of like I don't know. It was hard to explain, but our music was so fucking poppy. It was like, because we just love fucking catchy shit. We
Yeah, but it just didn't seem, I think for kids and for when we were listening to it, I'd say kids, like when I was starting listening to music, it didn't seem like mainstream to me. It was dudes that were playing instruments, and it was, you know, you had it was like, it was punk.
Yeah.
That was my entrance to it. And I think, yeah, it's crazy. Like, you know, how I say, like weird things come together. Like, you know, obviously now we're with you guys and Joey and the links between like me being a kid and coming to see you and then singing with you and being friends, and it's all so weird to me, but it also all makes complete sense.
Okay, so I definitely want to tell the story about you coming to Brixton.
Yeah, because it's a crazy story.
Probably my favorite story of one of my favorite stories.
Yeah,
just because like you're such a legend, and I like listen to your music so much.
Yeah,
to think you were a kid. How old were you?
When I came to see, it was probably, I want to say 04. Did you do the first time you did Brixton?
Probably 04, yeah.
We were talking about
or
the lineup.
02.
Yeah, it was Brixton. It was you, Mest, and Sugar Cult.
Yeah.
We were saying. And I remember I was there. Got dropped off by my friend's dad.
Okay.
We both came together, me and two girls that
How
I
old
grew
were
up
you?
with. I was in school young, so I must have been like 13.
Middle school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and my friends Helen and Hannah, we were big GC fans.
Okay.
We got dropped off at 10 a.m. I waited by the bus, waited by the side door
No
to
way.
try and hang out. And I didn't know any better. I was just like, I want to be at the barrier. I want to do it. Like I was that kid.
Wow.
I see those kids come to our shows now.
Did
right?
you see us get her on or off the bus?
I didn't see
wow.
anything. And it's because I was probably like round the front and you guys were like getting around or whatever.
Yeah.
But like the show was just amazing. It was like my first big show like in London.
High energy.
Yeah, I was from a smaller village. So like going to London for the first time in like Brixton Academy, a venue that I'd heard about for years, being there and then seeing this show, it was just so amazing. I was right at the front, singing every lyric, every song.
Crazy.
And then you come back, I think it was like, I don't know how many years after.
2018 maybe?
We're like pals. We're like, you're like, do you want to come and sing with me? I'm like, yes, I do. And then that many years later, I'm on that stage with you guys singing a song, which is crazy.
And one of my favorite parts about any UK show now is if you're in the country and you can come sing.
And then we came and then I sang on your record. Like, what the fuck?
And one of my favorite moments on
like, what the fuck?
On Generation RX, which I think is a fully underrated GC album that one day will be more appreciated than it
great
was.
album.
I just think it's a special album for us. Leech, which is a very deeply meaningful, emotional song about me and Benj coming to the realization of like how deeply wounded we were from our childhood, and this song that no one could sing on that song. That song was a precious gem to us.
Yeah.
Just because it was a message that we both needed to get out. And it was like therapeutic for us, coming to the realization that like the childhood trauma that we suffered, that we never really came to terms with and never really talked about, we kind of put it into a poetic message on this song, and it meant a lot to us. Yeah. And so for you to come and do the chorus was more meaningful than just you being on a song.
Yeah.
It was like, there was light. There was something about you that the fact that you did it, first of all, which I was scared to ask you.
That's so crazy.
Because I was like,
I'd have ran here.
I don't want him to feel like, you don't want anyone to feel obligated.
Yeah.
Because that's not, because it isn't even about that. You know, like, so you don't want someone to feel like they can't say no.
Yeah.
And I know you would have if you didn't want to do it, but we're not the guys to ask anyone for anything if we feel like it's going to be like them doing something they don't want to do.
For me, it was an amazing song.
And it was,
I remember hearing it and just being like,
it's one of my favorite moments on the record.
Song. Yeah, and it kind of opened up a part of my voice that I hadn't used, like sort of tonally. I think I remember me and Dan were talking about it. We like kind of opened up like a few ideas for the album, For Those That Wish to Exist, kind of singing in that sort of style. But I tracked it with Dan as well, which was super, super cool.
Yeah,
and
so cool.
Yeah, I was just so honored. But like, it's so funny because, you know, it's not like in our relationship, I spend the whole time sat around going like, oh my God, that's Joel from Good Charlotte. Like, fucking hell.
No.
But there is part of me that is, like I'm saying, with that like 13-year-old kid that is like, this is so crazy. I went to go and see a band. I was inspired by it. Then I'm in a band. I'm now like in a fucking conversation with you all the time where we're trying to big each other up and encourage each other.
Rolling text
We're saying all
chain.
these things to each other and supporting each other. I'm on your record. It's an amazing thing. But do you know what's even weirder is how it kind of all came together. And I think we've spoken about this. Dean Robotham, who was a guitar tech for Benj.
Yeah.
He'd just been out with you for a while. And I remember he came to my house and we were just sat outside having drinks, and it was like me and my girlfriend at the time and a bunch of our bandmates, and we were all around, and he'd just come back from being with you guys in LA, and he'd come back and he was like, oh, I've just been out with Good Charlotte, and like, they're the best people. Like, I love them. And I was like, be honest with me. I was like, be really real with me. I love that band. What are they like? And he was like, I'm being completely honest with you when I say they're the realest, nicest people. They've gone out of their way to take care of me, gone above and beyond.
Oh, that's nice. He's great. I love him.
Next day, without any link or knowledge that Dean had been at my house, Joey calls me. And he's like, I've got this. Joey, our manager, for people that don't.
Joey Simmerin, who's now the president of MDDN for many years, but has been your guys' manager for
so
forever.
long.
Yeah.
He called me and he was like, I want to run something past you. I've got a proposition to go and work at MDDN. What do you think? And I was like, do it.
Great.
I was like, I just had a conversation last night with somebody that would never lie to me, says they're the best people, says it's a like amazing company, go. And Joey was like, cool, done.
We needed him.
And he was like, okay, that's it. And I spoke to the guys and was like, because obviously they had been at my house as well. They'd had the conversation with Dean, and it was so funny, like how it was like at that moment, around that time, we'd been through so much like shit and trauma.
Been through a lot.
Lost Tom. I remember Dean had come down, and it was still around that time, and it was just like,
You were all still processing.
yeah. But it was like, oh, that's funny. Like, this is all sort of it felt like something was happening. Like someone was looking over and going like, oh, here's a little bit of light. That's obviously not fixing everything that we've been through, but it was like, here's just something to make you go, huh, that's odd. I was just talking about them yesterday, and you've called me asking about this. It was really strange.
We're all weaved in a cloth. We're all weaved in and the thing that I think people don't, what I believe anyways, that people don't realize is that we're all connected. Like we all are. I just believe that we're like a big colony of ants, that we're not even conscious of the dance that we're doing together. Oh, you know who else was at the Brixton show? Adele. She told me that too.
You're just inspiring everyone, all genres.
So no, by the way, I fucking love Adele. Yeah. She's the realest.
Yeah.
You want to meet somebody that will not disappoint you if you love her music, meet Adele.
Yeah.
She's the best. And I've only become friends with her because she's very close with Nicole. And so I've gotten to become friends with her, and I count her as a just dear friend because she's a lot like you.
She's our national treasure. We love her.
She is a national treasure. And that's
because not only is she talented, she's sort of everything that's amazing about England.
She's so
like, in Britain, it's like she just encompasses this like Cockney legend.
She's
she's
British,
just insanely talented.
The talent is like, that's the thing everybody knows.
Yeah.
Like that's just like, you just know Adele is Adele. It's agreed upon. But the thing that I think people don't always know is at the heart of a person when you sit with them.
Yeah.
Are they a person? Can like we all be in the room, and can Adele be here and you be here and they're there and we're all here together as people, and that everyone in the room like matters? That's kind of how the experience I always look for.
And can she sing the chorus to Little Things? And did she own a maid? Did she own a maid t-shirt when she was in the crowd?
I don't know, but what I'm constantly impressed with by artists that I admire, like what they've done, is when I meet the person. Yeah. And they're real. Yeah. And they're also aware. They're aware that they are who they are. So if someone comes in the situation that's a little excited or whatever, they're kind. Yeah. But she's not going to be beholden to someone that is full of shit.
Yeah. She's not got time for it.
You know what I mean? Because she's real.
Yeah.
Because so she had to, just like you and me too, we weren't blessed with, like, we didn't come into the world and we were like the shit. In fact, we were the opposite. We had to find our self-esteem. We had to find our talent. We had to work our asses off.
Yeah.
And we had to try and make it. But we had to believe in ourselves before anyone else.
Yeah.
And that goes for Adele. That goes for you. That goes for me.
Yeah.
And we still doubt ourselves.
Yeah.
We're still that kid.
It's what keeps pushing you, I think.
And it also is what makes you kind. I think.
Yeah.
What makes you have empathy.
Yeah.
And, but it's funny because Adele was there, you were there, and you're two of my favorite people.
Yeah.
And you're both English.
Yeah.
Well, we're in London, so.
Yeah.
But like two of my favorite like English people.
Yeah.
Because my experience of England is my friends.
Yeah.
And I love the UK. Good Charlotte, we have a great relationship with the UK. Like,
yeah, you definitely do.
It's like one of our favorite places.
Yeah.
But it's the people. There's a personality there that is very you. It's very Adele. It's very like, there's an honesty and there's something about it that I think we could use a little more of. But it's funny the two of you were there and you're two of my favorite singers.
Yeah.
And two of my favorite friends.
Just the whole thing is just so crazy to me to just be like, that's kind of, I was there. Those records were just so inspiring.
Well, thank you.
To then be like, okay, now we're mates. And we talk all the time.
And we work together.
We work together. Joey's here. I've been on your record. I was on that stage where I first saw you doing it. I've now done Brixton myself.
Yeah.
Like, it's an amazing things like that where you just take a step back and you're like, wow, it's been
Did you do Ali Pally?
Been a hell of a journey. Yeah, I did. I did Leech at Ali Pally.
Yeah. Which was amazing.
Yeah, an amazing.
I love Ali Pally.
I do. Yeah.
What a great venue.
Yeah, it's
like
amazing.
All flat.
But yeah, there's those moments in your career where you go, wow, you think like Little Sam, where I'm just like, it's amazing. It's been an amazing life.
So my theory, and this all proves it in my opinion, is we only become what we actually truly see ourselves becoming. So if you in your very core belief do not believe that you could do that, whatever that 13-year-old looked at and saw on that stage, he somehow, some way thought, I think I can do that. If you don't have the I think I can on anything, you will not have it. You will not possess it.
No.
And my belief system is vision first, dream first, imagine first, and then don't worry about how.
Yeah.
And I think what you guys do really well is you let how happen. You lean into how you feel. And if we think too much about how we want the thing we're imagining to come, we're caught up on the how and not the thing. So if we don't imagine what we want and just go to bed dreaming about that every night, and we let how happen every day and lean into how we feel. So, oh yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's go.
Yeah.
It comes to you if you're looking at the vision.
Yeah.
And I think we attract what we want. And we attract what we don't want. If we think, you know, the law of attraction, all that stuff, it's all the principles of like, we will find what we look for. So if I'm looking for enemies, I'll find them. If I'm looking for friends, I'll find them. And I think that we are like, somehow you manifested the connection that we have, and I manifested it as well. Because when I heard your records before Joey.
Yeah, because I remember you and Benj were talking about us before we even started working with you. I was like, wow.
Architects.
I was like, good Charlotte like us.
God damn.
That's a turn up for the books.
Yeah.
Who saw that coming?
Because it was...
Not me.
It's never stopped impressing me.
I appreciate it.
You know what I mean? The music has always impressed me, but somehow we manifested, and I say this in the bigger picture for anyone listening, is like we absolutely manifest everything in our life.
Yeah.
If I get up today and I'm looking for problems, I'll manifest them. I'll find them. There are plenty of problems to find. We go through the woods looking for the bears, or we go through the woods looking for the berries. We'll find both. They're all there. But I think the thing you and me probably continually have to work on, which is probably slowing down and maybe even slowing, I always think, is it slowing down my progress, is how am I talking to myself?
Yes.
And am I encouraging myself as much as I encourage everyone else?
Yeah.
Because I love to encourage people.
Yeah. I think it's, I had it actually with Stephanie from Brutus. They just supported us in the US.
This is amazing.
An amazing band.
Getting some love at home too in their home country.
Yeah. We toured with them and I love them. They're one of my favorite bands. Stephanie is very similar to me. She's so hard on herself as a vocalist, and she's so like
It's crazy.
brutal to herself, right? So we would watch her, like, you know, our dressing room would empty every night. We'd all go watch, then we'd go back and speak to them. And I remember speaking to her one night, and she was upset with her vocal performance, and I was like, that was one of the best vocal performances I've ever seen in my entire life. And she was sat there like in tears, being like, I've let you down, like, you guys, like, you brought us out and we've done this. And I was like, no. And we spoke to her, and she was like, you know that if I spoke to you like this, you wouldn't listen. And I was like, yeah, that's true. She was like, you need to speak to yourself like this. And I was like, whoa. Like, left the room and went on stage and was like, yeah, that's right. Like, if I could see myself as not myself, how would I speak to myself? How would I engage? How would I encourage myself? Because I'm like you, like, I'll talk to you, I'll talk to her, I'll talk to other bands and other frontmen and
We're like,
other
what's the
people.
problem?
I'm like, you're good, don't worry about your voice. Just do this warm up, you're going to be good. You sound amazing. No one can sound like you. You are the only person in these 20,000 people that can go and do you, so go do you. But me, I'll be going walking on stage being like, you're about to let every single person in this room down.
That's crazy.
Everybody is here to laugh at you. You know, like, that's just the way my brain goes. And it's rewiring that of like, everybody is here because they want to see you succeed. So just have fun, because no one has bought a ticket to this concert to come and watch you laugh. Like, that's so insane to think that. But it was a really interesting moment. And like I say, like, when we have conversations where I'm like, this is great, you should do this. This new song's great. Try this. Like, you know, we're bouncing ideas off each other. Even yesterday, it's so funny because you're like, yeah, if you're doing it to me, I'm like, yeah, I need to take that on board. To actually take it on board. Like, just try and be nice to yourself.
Think about every area of your life, because this is where I get it from you when you don't even know you're there. Is I struggle in other places. Like, I have a little bit of stage fright.
Yeah, same. It's brutal.
But then I get out there and I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I don't think about how I sung after the show.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest with you.
It's done. Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
And I don't think about it during the show.
Yeah.
I was losing my voice during that song, whatever. And I'm like, whatever. I just have a drink afterwards and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Now that might be some self-esteem stuff. I might just be like, we're not that good anyways or whatever. But at the end of the day,
Definitely is.
yeah. So I'm like, maybe I should take it more seriously or whatever. But I think I'm going to go try my best. In the live show, getting on stage is the hardest part.
Absolutely.
I'm anxious. I'm a little edgy. I'm a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I might be a little unpleasant to the people who are closest to me.
Yeah.
And
I'm freaking out. I'm just, you're
like,
you're not breathing properly. You're just like, yep. You know, you get it done. I'm exactly the same way. I get a song in and I'm like, okay, I can do this.
yeah,
I've done
then,
this.
Then we're flying.
Yeah. You've ridden this bike before. You know where you're going.
But places like, to be honest with you, like the gym, where I like am like, it's taken me years to get comfortable with like working out. It sounds whatever, but like it's just real. It's like some self-esteem thing. And your music is one of the soundtracks I put on to like get ready to do things that I'm scared to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know why working out would be something someone's scared to do.
Yeah.
But I'm being honest.
But it's honest. Like, everyone has different things that they're uncomfortable
It's hard
to do.
for me, like, to show up every day and like commit to something like that, because I don't feel like maybe I don't feel like I deserve it, or maybe I don't feel like I'm that kind of guy. Like I'm not a fit guy, or I'm not a whatever. And I've never like pushed myself to see what's possible in that category of my life.
But I think anything that's like anything that intimidates you and you learn a lot more about yourself after it. You feel better because you go through it, you know?
Yeah, on the other side. And I'm on the other side now, like it's no problem.
Yeah.
But my soundtrack in the last 3 years, when it's been like this start, stop, try this, try that, maybe even more, maybe like 5 years, my soundtrack has been Architects.
Crazy.
And it like gets me there, like gets me ready, it gets me. And you know, I don't think we live in like a culture where being vulnerable and sharing something like that is like, I don't know, sometimes I hold back because people are mean, but it's the truth. And you know, I think about anyone out there that's struggling to start something that they're scared to do. Because for you, it's like, I got to get on stage. For some people, it's like, I'm really nervous to apply for this job.
Yeah.
Or I'm really nervous to move houses.
Yeah.
Or to ask this person out.
I think it's anxiety and fear and depression is something that like I've dealt with for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think if people just think that, you know, me getting on stage is just normal and like that's just what I do, then that is actually shows how far I've come as a person, because it's hard work. Life can be real hard. It doesn't matter what position you're in or what you have or what you do. Mental health is very real and a real struggle. And I think I've just tried to be like really honest about that throughout my entire life.
Yeah,
I think,
you've been good about that.
Just conversations of like, I'm not the finished article. I certainly don't believe in, you know, like, oh, I'm fixed now. I'm fine. I've been through this bout of depression and I'll come out the other side and I'm like, I'm all good. I think it's an ongoing thing that you have to work at to just keep your head above water. Not that like I'm always drowning, but I am, you know, I'm swimming. And you have to work at it. You have to be open. You have to be honest. You have to be honest with people around you. My wife is an absolute saint within my life.
So is mine.
The rock of me. Everything I do, I try and do to impress her and make her think that I'm a good guy. So I just try and be honest and work. You know, I go to therapy every week. I take antidepressants now, again. And I've had bouts of being on them and being off them, and it's just what works for me. I'm not on a lot of them. I have enough that help me put my shoes on in the morning. And some people say you shouldn't be on antidepressants. Some people say you should. I don't really care. It's just what works for me. You. And I think they came to me at a couple of points in my life that I really needed them. And I'm so grateful to have been in a position to have that. But I think, yeah, just being honest, I think that's the real core of like what makes me is just not hiding behind anything. I just want to be open and honest and show vulnerability, because I think that's important. I think especially for young people and young musicians everywhere, I think just being able to be like open and honest is key, because I think it's times where I've needed to hear people talking about it. They have. And you had that you had that back in the day on Young and Hopeless. You had that hold on. It was like an amazing. I remember the video. It was massive and so important.
About suicide. Yeah, because we got so many letters from people that either didn't kill themselves or lost someone, and somehow in their 2 years we were touring on the first record, we got so many letters.
Yeah.
And in 2000, 2001, and we went and made that record. We were like, we have to make a song.
Yeah.
Because we can't write all these people back.
Yeah.
And it was always about suicide. Yeah. It was really crazy how many kids back then were.
It's nuts. But I think it's just such a big thing that everyone's going through. I think like the conversation needs to keep happening, and people need to be talking about it, because it's.
Papa Roach just did something really great.
Yeah. It's an amazing song.
I love those guys.
He's they're all amazing.
Yeah.
Jacoby has just got like the maddest energy. I love it so much. I just can't imagine what he was like when he used to drink.
Oh my God. I don't want to know.
That guy comes in with the best energy straight off the bat. And he's so supportive.
He's a great guy.
He's such a nice guy. He's like, that band has always been a band that we've loved and liked as well. And you know, he's always made time for us and been so supportive. And I've got to sing with them on a couple of occasions, and he's come and sang with us as well. And yeah, again, just like another sort of mad moment where like people that you grew up idolizing and listening to, you're just like texting and like shooting the shit with, and
what a guy,
supporting each other with.
Great, yeah.
His heart's really in the right place.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's got a big heart.
What other bands would you say you guys have become really good friends with over the years, besides Good Charlotte and Papa Roach?
We have got so many.
You toured with Knocked Loose, right?
We haven't toured with Not Loose.
Oh, I thought you did.
Not toured with Not Loose. We've been friends with Not Loose.
Okay. Are you friends with them?
Yeah, Brian and Isaac. We've had a lot of chats with.
I like them.
Great guys, great heavy band. They were they're actually the funny thing about that band, and I've told them this, it was the last band that Tom showed me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I remember Tom showing me the first song that they kind of put out off of their first like big record, like the second record I think it was. And I remember him showing me it in at his house when we were doing some writing. He was like, "I think you'll really like this." It was, you know, when like you're friends and you just show each other stuff. Yeah. It was the last band that Tom showed me, and I was like, "Wow, this is really, really good." And he just, again, like a sign that Tom had his finger on the pulse for a long time. We're really good friends with Stray from the Path. We've known them for a long time.
They're great.
Yeah, we've known them for a long, long time. Like our first ever show in America, they were on.
Right.
like however many years ago in the middle of nowhere, and you know, a Parkway Drive, really good mates of ours.
Oh, they're cool.
Yeah, we've got so many friends because we've been doing it for so long.
You guys have just been in every fucking festival, every tour. you guys, I would say,
We're chatty.
Yeah.
So when you know us, we're when we're in, we're in. You know, we're kind of like my rescue dog, Sophia.
Yeah.
We're like, once she knows you, she absolutely loves you and you're in. And before it's just kind of like, who's this guy? Who's coming into our like compound area? Who is this?
Quiet.
Are you going to hurt me?
They're quiet.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, they're not.
And then when you're in, they're like, no, well, they think they're too cool. It's like, no, we definitely don't.
No,
We definitely don't. And
we're just shy dogs.
I think when you've been doing it for so long, that's one of the best things about touring. And it was one of the things that I really was looking forward to getting back over to the US when we hadn't toured it for a couple of years, and actually getting over and seeing those people that I just hadn't seen in ages.
Yeah.
You know, where you see them around the world. And that's one of the best things about touring. It's like going to a place and being like, this person's coming tonight, this person's coming there. And, you know, it's like a little, just a hang around the world.
Did you have a favorite metal festival this year?
Favorite metal festival?
Of the ones you played, like, was there one that stood out to you as your favorite?
I really enjoyed Bloodstock. Headlining Bloodstock in the UK was awesome. I didn't really know what to expect because it's quite a like heavy metal festival. Right. I didn't know how we'd do.
I figured you guys would do really well.
We just don't have the confidence to be.
Yeah.
And then
the fuck do you?
It was amazing. The promoter and the people that put on the show were like, "This is the most people we've ever had."
If I was in fucking Architects, I'd just walk into any fucking show.
Yeah.
Just be like, put me on anywhere.
Yeah. But I need to try and, again, I'm trying to be more confident.
Yeah.
But we did, we had a great show. The promoter was like, this is the most people we've ever had through the door of the main arena on a Saturday night.
Amazing.
And they were so stoked on that. With Full Force was amazing in Germany. It was just a year of like craziness.
What about America?
Aftershock was awesome.
Aftershock is always good, huh?
Aftershock was awesome. Welcome to Rockville.
Yeah.
Which you guys are doing, right?
We're doing this year.
Yeah, that's
May.
awesome. All those Zimmer festivals are amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see, actually now America has its own festival season.
Yeah.
You know, like Europe has always been a time where it's like,
it's a thing now.
Are you doing festival season in Europe? Are you doing this, like, and putting stuff around it? Now America is like the US is like, it's got it. And it's like, and your lineups are insane.
Yeah.
Your lineups to like a day, just one day is like, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're like looking at the lineups, you're like,
America.
Yeah. bigger and better.
Bigger and better.
I love it. And I just think, I love it. I love the opportunity of going out to people that maybe haven't heard of us and are like, we're in front of them and showing what we do best. And I think because we've been doing it so long and we've smashed festival seasons in Europe so many times, we know how to work a big crowd. Yeah, it does help.
It helps.
Yeah.
When you've played thousands of shows and you know how to do a live show, whether something fucking goes out or something isn't working. There's something
about being over in America where I'm like, I feel like I can be a little bit like more Larry as well. I like to sort of like attack the crowd and then sort of give them a little bit of love in between the songs and then rile them up a little bit more and call them pricks and have a go at them and get them rolled up. And I think they see the sort of sense of humor in it. I'm not up there trying to be cool. I'm just sort of winding them up. I've loved it. I love this stage of our band and this sort of time that we're in. I actually love being out here at the moment. I think there's something happening in the US for us.
Yeah.
That there's an energy around it that hasn't been there up until recently. Well, it's not for lack of trying, but it just feels like something's shifted.
I'm telling you right now, I think it's where the culture's at with rock music, where rock music is having a real, like, across the board. Yeah. It's not just nostalgia rock. It's rock across the board. If you're a good band, if you're good live, if you have good songs, new or old, doesn't matter. There's like a rock thing happening where people are listening to rock music and they want to go to rock shows. Yeah. And I think you guys are a great rock band. And I do think that like things are shared faster now. Yeah. Even 5 years ago, it was different. Yeah. Like things get shared so fast now. And I think you guys have an amazing catalog of songs. When I turn people onto Architects, they come back to me and go, oh my God, I don't know which song's my favorite because there's just so many good. Like, by the way, if you don't start playing Gravedigger.
Yeah. We did on the Euro shows. So
in the set, because it's one of my favorites. But you have so many good songs. Yeah. And that's not what it's all about. Yeah. It doesn't matter if I'm just discovering this band. Like that's where I think rock and the rock festivals, there's a real culture now, like a little bit more like Europe used to be. Yeah. And it still is. But I remember we would do America in the 2000s or in the 2010 or whatever. And it was like, if you didn't have a hit in America, No one gave a fuck.
Yeah.
But you go to Europe and they listen to every record.
Yeah.
And you're playing an arena and they're singing the album cuts on the third record that no one else.
Yes,
and in
every
America,
lyric,
like
those shows are the best shows.
and
Yeah.
it's crazy. You have so that's kind of happened in America now, I think.
Yeah.
Is like this culture of live.
And I feel like we've just got to a point where we're just like trying to be the best we can possibly be and put on the best show. And in those situations, we're just like, we know how to do this. And we want to be the band that you go away and go, they were great.
And you go and listen to the record?
Yeah, that was a great show. This was my favorite band of the weekend. This was this. I want to be that. I don't want to be ashamed of that. I don't want to waste my time and turn up and just be like, okay.
But also,
like, if I'm leaving my wife and my dogs to come and play over here, you best believe every single person in that room has got to go home going, they were awesome.
They were fucking good.
Yeah.
And to do what you do on the record live.
Yeah.
Because also, if you listen to a record with complications, it's like a watch.
Yeah.
You hear little things that are choices that aren't necessarily easy or, it's interesting when I listen to an Architects record, I don't just love it for the songwriting. There's complications in the music.
Yeah, tell
and
me
you hear
about
it and you go like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like that little guitar part right there or that little thing. And that to me is, and then you see the band live and you go, fuck, they did it live too.
Yeah.
That's a good band.
I'm very lucky to be in a band with some amazing musicians.
Yeah.
And I say it every night.
good.
I'm like, I don't have to worry. I don't have to look around. I don't have to turn around. I don't have to think about it. It just happens perfectly every night. It's very rare that any of them will make a mistake. And I'm very fortunate to down at the front. And I think the best thing I can do is be as good as I possibly can for them. And I think we're all in that mindset of.
So I think in America, people are discovering you.
Yes. Yeah.
I think you have a good core audience here of like of like heavy music fans.
Yeah.
But I actually think there's like this very big new wave over the last few years of rock fans who are discovering music, like rock music truly for the first time.
Yeah.
Or expanding their rock music taste.
Yeah.
Because of all these new festivals that have popped up in the last decade. And I think that you guys are experiencing like a wave of like new fans.
I think also,
in the US.
Yeah. I think also we're very, very, I was going to say lucky. We're very thankful for the team that we have around us.
Yeah. So
we're very grateful for it. I think label, agents, management, everything around us is just feels like a no-brainer. It's like our mates that work for us. Like sometimes we'll see people and I'll be like, oh, we've not really talked about work, but it doesn't really matter because I know what you're doing. I trust you.
Well,
we're just hanging out. I think it's important to surround yourself with people that like you can be yourself around. It's not just like, you're not just having to be nice.
Yeah.
I've had so many people that work for us that were at my wedding.
Yeah.
And I know loads of people in bands that be like, what? I'd be like, yeah, they're my mates. Of course they're going to be there. We're very thankful for the team that we have around us because it does just feel like it's not, if Architects does well and something happens or we have a moment, and I think with our fans as well, actually, it feels like it's a win for everybody.
Big time.
Because it's not like, we're not like, look at us. We're like, look at this, look what we've done like together. Because I understand the importance of our fan base and the people that are around us because we're not rock stars. We're not. I walk my best part of being alive is walking my dogs and picking up their shit.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not picking up their shit, but I love walking my dogs in the countryside and I love being live and doing that. But I'm not a rock star. I'm not walking around carrying myself with any sort of energy, right?
I feel the same way.
So when we do well, I think people are like, that's awesome. That like someone like me has done well. It's like, I can do that. And if they can do well, then I can do well. And that's what I was inspired by when I was a kid.
A good winner.
Yeah.
Someone who's kind.
Yeah.
And like doesn't chop someone's head off when they win.
That's what you got to do. You don't want to stand there and be like, look how amazing I am. I'm like, what's next? Let's go.
Yeah, it's like when you see an athlete win and they go, man, my team was so good. They fucking blah, blah, blah. And you go like, that guy is a fucking baller and he won the game. But he's never going to give you the satisfaction of saying, yeah, I fucking did it because he knows.
There's a lot of time left in my life where I can look back and think and pat myself on the back for what I've done.
Totally. Like
I don't need to now.
You know what I mean? Like I was poor and now I'm not. Good enough for me. But one day maybe I'll look back on how hard it was to get out of that poverty.
Yeah.
And I'll celebrate it. And every now and then me and Ben do celebrate it because we have moments where we're like, wow,
Yeah.
can you believe this is our life?
Yeah, yeah. And
Even
it's important to
last
have
night-
those moments. It's important to have those moments where you're just like, I'm so grateful for this.
It's gratitude.
Yeah. And just having a conversation of like, wow, this is insane.
And like, look who we get to work with. Look who we get to hang out with. It's truly joyful experience to be backstage at one of your shows.
It's amazing. I think especially with architects now. I mean, I used to have quite a few drinks. Thank God I don't have quite a few now. But
too.
you come off stage and it's like, cool, we just go play FIFA, go bed.
Yeah.
Like we have a thing now. This is so lame. We have a thing now where before we go on stage, you see a few of us get our stuff ready to like get our pajamas and get ready for bed.
Yes.
And it's like you get off stage and it's like, who's going to get in the shower
gonna
first?
get there?
Who's going to be the fastest person to be in their bunk? You get in your bunk and you're like, oh, I've won.
Right.
I've
Or
done
just
it.
like get cozy in the lounge.
You're just sat on the bus
turn
being
on
like,
movie.
oh, wouldn't want to be you sat in that
Movie
dressing
night.
room. I'm sat just looking at pictures I've taken throughout the day on Lightroom. Like, see you later.
Yeah.
You know, it's I'm lucky. We're all the same people. You know, I'm so blessed to have them in our lives. And I was talking about it to someone the other day about like how much we hang out and talk to each other. We talk to each other every day. I love those guys so much. Like we're just such a team. And if the band stopped tomorrow, we still talk to each other every day.
Yeah.
We're still best mates. You can't fuck with us.
Well, I think you guys have a very long way to go.
Yeah.
I think you have a long road ahead of you.
Yeah.
A really good one. I think you're in the fun part. I think you guys have done a ton of work. You've been through a lot as a band, and every fucking way you could go through something. You could write the book on how to run a business, in my opinion. We always say it. We're like, what would architects do? They would just make a decision. So what do we think, guys? Okay, that's what we should do. Okay, let's do it. We say that all the time.
Yeah.
Because it feels that whatever your process is, and it sounds like I'm not far off,
Yeah.
but it feels like that's it.
Yeah.
It's not like how big is that gonna be or how blah 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 blah. No, it's just like I feel like that's it, and then we just do it, and it's right.
Yeah.
And then what's the result? Okay, cool. Now let's go. Like we're not all hung up on the result of every fucking thing we do.
Yeah.
Let's just keep going forward. Make another record. Drop another record.
We have a thing where it's like if the four of us, if one of us is outvoted, we're still kind of like, well, why is that one? What's wrong? What is it that's not right here? We're like, we'll put it through if it's you know it's for the greater good, and then normally I'll come around and be like, yeah, actually it was right. But it's always like we respect each other of like, okay, if you actually don't think this is right, I trust you and love you enough to know that there's something in this.
So let's dig in.
Yeah.
And let's figure out what that is.
But for the most part, it's like we know what we need to do. We're on the same page. We have the same kind of gut where it's like, yep, this is what we got to do.
And I think that's what's gotten you to this, what I think is going to be and is becoming, I think you're feeling it, is this record is being really well received.
Yeah.
And celebrated. I think people really fucking love your band. And what I think you're seeing is 2 decades of instinct work. Feel it, do it,
Yeah.
keep moving forward. And I think you guys are coming into the fun part of being an architects where you actually get to probably enjoy it a little bit more than maybe you have in the past.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's like just time for fun.
Yeah.
Time to enjoy it. Done the hard work. We're still going to keep working hard, but you can loosen up your shoulders a little bit and have a
enjoy
smile.
the show.
Yeah,
Like,
you can
you're in a
smile
big
a
ass-
bit. Yeah.
Doing these big ass shows, it's fun.
Yeah.
You know.
Bring that little kid with me and just a little
Show
kid in
him.
my heart and be like,
Yeah, the 13-year-old
Yeah.
who was in line at Brixton at 10 a.m.
yeah, now you're doing this.
And
what do you think?
now he's on stage, and you got to show him what he's done.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And
you know?
let him take the wheel sometimes, because I think really like that's what everyone's sort of actual talent is born from that.
He had the dream.
era of like being that the formative years of like, I got it, I'll take the wheel, I'm good. You know, you looked after, you grow up, you get to that point, and you're like, actually, I think I know better.
That's the kid who dreams.
Yeah. So let them
Yeah.
carry on.
And I really do believe that the dream starts everything. So if anyone listening, take it for what you want. If we don't start with a dream around everything, our marriage, our band, our life, our health, if we don't start with a dream, then we're just letting any other thought come in and rule, what this becomes.
Yeah.
So it's usually fear-based.
Yeah.
Right? So, or we're wrestling between good and evil. But if we start with just a dream, my dream is this. So I always tell people, have a dream and a vision around every part of your life. Give yourself that, because you don't get to be anyone else. I don't get to be Sam from Architects. I have to be me, and you get to be you. And that's kind of like the journey for me is like, what's my dream around everything? What's the dream for MDDN? It's to work with really fucking great bands and be in an environment where everyone like enjoys it and everyone like knows where they're at.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think you guys do that. But yeah, it's that 13-year-old kid who's at Brixton who goes, I'm going to do that.
I'm going to give it a shot. Yeah.
And I think more of us need to like remember that we all, but hopefully the people out there listening, if maybe they haven't accomplished what they want to yet. And I always want to encourage people that are listening to our music, that are getting something from it, to find their band, to find their dream, to find their, you know, their hit record, whatever
it's
that
there.
is. Yeah.
If you want it.
Some way.
If you want it.
Some way.
You make it.
Some way, shape, or form.
And I think now, like you say, like I've got to this point in my life where I'm so inspired by bands and music that they were doing stuff before anybody else. Like going into a studio and recording to tape. Like people don't understand until you like look under the hood of what music is now. So much music is just recorded into a laptop, and if it's wrong, you just delete it and start again.
Yeah.
These bands like the Beatles were going in and recording Sgt. Pepper on a 4-track.
Yeah.
4 tracks. That means there's 4 different things. They would record 4 instruments at the same time, or 3, then play that back so it was being played back on 1 and record 3 more layers. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
So bands like them and the Stones and Led Zeppelin and Creedence and I mean Crosby,
Oasis.
Stills, Nash and Young, Oasis. Like I'm fully going back. Tom Petty.
Yeah.
It's like I love all that music. It's just amazing. It makes me feel happy and smile, and it reminds like my dad was always playing the Beatles and the Stones and Zeppelin in my house. You know, it's been what made me love music. And when I was a kid, you know, I started getting into my own music, and I was like, I don't want to listen to that. I want to listen to this. I want to do that. And you know,
you
go
want
back
autonomy.
You go back and you start listening to songs, and you're like, I know every single word to this. And I've not listened to it in 10 years.
Now I want to listen to it on vinyl.
Yeah. And then you start buying it. And I'm very lucky to share that relationship with my dad musically, where I'll come over to the US and call him in a record shop and be like, oh, I found this Beatles record. Like, should I grab it? Like he'll be like, oh yeah, they printed this on this, and Paul had done this, and like you should grab it. And you know, it's cool to. Mine and my dad's record collections are almost identical now, I think. So it's it's cool to have that. Yeah.
Sam, love you, man.
It's been a joy. Thanks for coming. Let's just carry on hanging out there.
Yeah, we'll go out there and hang out.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks for having me.
Congrats on the record.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And the tour.
Thanks for being the best.
Man, you're the best. All right. Thank you for listening to Artist Friendly. We really appreciate it. If you like the show, you can also follow us on Spotify. You can follow us on Instagram at artist.friendly. And you can watch us on YouTube and Veeps. Leave comments. I always read them. See you next time.